Hey guys, welcome back, or welcome if you are new. I hope you are having a fantastic day. In this video, I want to share some post-burn reviews of 3 of the Kringle Fall Reserve fragrances that are going to be launching in just a couple of days here on September 18th at noon Eastern. These first 3 fragrances that I am sharing reviews of are my personal 3 favorite fragrances from this particular launch. I know a lot of you guys really like when the fragrances are ranked in terms of favorite to least favorite. So these first 3 here are definitely my favorites from this launch. In tomorrow's video, I will share the other 3 post-burn reviews. There's nothing wrong with the 3 candles that I'm going to be sharing in tomorrow's video. I just didn't care for those fragrances quite as much as I care for these first 3 here. So all that being said, I am going to go through and give you guys the usual information. I will read through the fragrance notes really quickly. I'll tell you what I have been smelling predominantly as I have been burning each of these fragrances. We will quickly discuss strength and throw. I will just tell you right now that I have not had a single burn issue with any of these 6 candles that are a part of this launch. So I'm not really going to be addressing that other than in the beginning of the video here by telling you that they were burning just fine. So yeah, I feel like the most important information here is definitely the fragrances and of course the strength and the throw. So we're going to go ahead and get into it. Again, these are launching on the 18th at noon Eastern. I'll put a link to Kringle Candle in the description box below. You can also use my discount code Melanie15 if you'd like to save 15% off of these candles at the actual launch. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get started. And we're going to get started with my number 1 favorite from this launch. And I would love to know in the comments down below if you think you know what it is. So before you actually get to that part, hit pause, let me know what you think it is in the comments. I'm guessing most of you are gonna get it. So anyway, let's get into it. Let's see if you got it. Did you guess the ambered apple and walnut? If you did, you get a gold star. But also, if you guessed the pumpkin oud, you also get a gold star because quite frankly, it was really difficult for me to choose between these 2 in terms of which to put into the number 1 slot. They're both really beautiful, amazing fragrances. But the reason that I'm going to give the number 1 slot to the ambered apple and walnut is specifically because I have not smelled a apple fragrance quite like this one. This is definitely a green apple note. It's a very distinct green apple. It's juicy, it's sweet, but there's a lot of like other elements happening here that just create such an interesting fragrance experience. If you are wondering just right off the bat if there is any amber in here, there is, but don't tune out, please stay. I know there's a lot of people that are like, I'm so tired of the amber. I get it. Listen, Kringle, I think, got a discount on amber and just decided to put it in almost everything this year. But this is an instance where I think the small amount of amber that is added really creates an experience that is, like I said, completely unique from any other apple fragrance that I have ever personally experienced. There might be something similar on the market, but man, tell me what it is because I would love to have it. This is amazing, you guys. Such a beautiful scent. What I'm going to do is read the notes once again, just from the bottom of the jar. There's a few notes here that are kind of elusive to my nose, so I don't really smell a couple of these notes personally. It doesn't mean that you aren't going to, because remember, fragrance perception is unique to each person. If you share a lot of the same scent preferences that I do, if we like a lot of the same candles or home fragrance products, for example, you might have a similar experience to me with this one. But I gotta tell you, this is a great scent. So let's go ahead and read through these notes, and then I'll go back and tell you which notes are more prominent and which notes are a little bit more like, I can't really pick that up. And then also with some of these, there might be like some things that I smell that aren't necessarily listed. So I'll mention that as well. And then of course, don't worry, we'll discuss the strength and the throw. But yeah, so the notes for the ambered apple and walnut are sweet apple, walnut, peach, caramel, praline, coffee, buttered woods, whipped mocha, brown sugar, and amber. So I have burned this one quite extensively because honestly, I could not stop burning it. It's so good. So I'm already down to here, almost, well, just about at the halfway point. And you guys, this is a green apple. I feel like green apple is a little bit more rare in home fragrance. Smell a lot of Macintosh, smell a lot of Honeycrisp type apples. Gala, Fuji, you know, but not a lot of green apple. This smells like a very sweet, but definitely tangy green apple. Oh man, I love green apple. And it also smells like a really authentic green apple at the same time. It's just such a perfect apple note. So yes, I smell that. I smell that sweet apple, and it's specifically tart, tangy, sweet green apple. The walnut, yes, this is a nutty fragrance. To me, I can't really tell the difference between the walnut and the praline here. There's just kind of a really nice, I guess you could say, generic nuttiness to the fragrance. It's quite prominent and it's delicious. So yes, I smell the walnut, I smell the praline, but not like distinctly walnut or praline, just nuttiness, right? I do smell a little bit of peach here. It is just the slightest hint of a sweet, juicy, I guess you could say like midsummer peach. Definitely authentic. I would say that the peach is only maybe about like 5% of the fragrance. Like there's like a hint of it, right? Like it's not the prominent fruit note here. That fruit note is the apple, and it is very prominent. Caramel. There's a hint of caramel. Actually, the caramel I smell less than the peach, so probably less than 5% caramel. If caramel normally turns you off, I think you might be okay with this one. I think it's probably going to be worth taking a chance on. But listen, if you are 100% no on caramel, skip it just in case. It might be one of those notes that because you don't like it, you're kind of seeking it out constantly in the scent. But I don't get much of it at all. I'm becoming a little bit more okay with caramel these days, but I'm still pretty picky about it. So keep that in mind. Coffee. Interestingly, I don't get a coffee note, nor do I get a whipped mocha note. There's no mocha, there's no coffee in here to my nose at all. Cold sniff, or even when it's burning, there's no coffee. So the buttered woods, I feel like this one's interesting because I feel like I would be more likely to say that there is an interesting like buttery reference in this fragrance more than I would say that there is an interesting wood note in this fragrance. I'm not sure what buttered woods would smell like, but I can tell you I do get a little bit of butteriness here. I don't really smell any woodiness though, so take that for what it's worth. Brown sugar, yes, I do smell some brown sugar in here. It's not an overly sweet fragrance, but it definitely is a sweet apple scent. But I feel like most of the sweetness here is coming from that green apple note. I feel like what the brown sugar brings in is just a touch of that like deeper, almost molasses type note. It just adds some more depth to the fragrance. And then that amber. Again, it is a small, minuscule amount of amber, but what it does, I feel like it adds warmth to the fragrance. I feel like it adds that like sweet resinous vibe that you wouldn't think would belong in a fragrance like this, but somehow just kind of makes perfect sense. I don't know how to explain that other than I feel like if they took the amber out, it would probably still be a nice fragrance, but I don't think the fragrance would be as unique. I don't think it would be as interesting. And I honestly don't think I would like it quite as much. I would probably still burn the heck out of it. I would still like it, but I love this fragrance as it is. This is so good. I would love to know if you get this, if you have smelled anything remotely like this, you need to tell me what it is because I mean, I can get more of this obviously, but I would love more fragrances like this. It's beautiful. Good job, Kringle. I mean, this is unique. This is a very unique apple fragrance. Certainly unlike any other apple that I've ever smelled, and I'm a fan. This will 100% be a repurchase for me. So raise your hand if you're excited about this. My apologies. I was trying to move on to the next fragrance without addressing the strength and the throw. So let's quickly go through some numbers here. In terms of strength, when this first started out, it was definitely pretty close to a solid 8. Now that I'm at the halfway point, it's kind of settling at right around a super solid 7 in terms of strength. So this is a fragrance that has quite a bit of oomph behind it, I would say. The throw, I would also probably put somewhere in the 7 to 8 range. It is absolutely a room filler. It certainly spills outside of the immediate area where I'm burning it. And quite frankly, it certainly reaches other areas of the downstairs of the house pretty easily. But does it fill the entire downstairs? No, it doesn't. But a really good solid performance from this. And again, I want to say no burn issues with any of these fragrances. That obviously goes for this one as well. No issues with the wicks. The wax is clean as ever. Nice, clean, solid burns on these. Really great performance out of this one. So for what it's worth, that's the strength and throw for that one. Now let's discuss the pumpkin oud. I also really love this fragrance. If you are looking for a pumpkin scent that is a little bit different from the norm, something with a little bit more depth to it, I would say this is a pumpkin worth checking out. Now there's some amber in this one as well, so prepare yourself, but let me go ahead and read the notes here. Pumpkin, spice, amber, ginger, cinnamon, and cedar. So, oh, you guys, this is a great fragrance. First of all, there is a very healthy dose of ginger in here, and ginger is sometimes a little iffy for me. I don't really gravitate towards a lot of fragrances that have a heavier ginger note, but in this particular fragrance with this type of pumpkin, I feel like that a slightly more prominent ginger note just works really well. The pumpkin that I'm smelling here smells more along the lines of like an heirloom pumpkin. It's not an overly sweet pumpkin fragrance, but it is very distinctly pumpkin. So yeah, I would go with more of an heirloom pumpkin versus more of that like traditional like sugar pumpkin type of pumpkin note. The ginger is probably the second most prominent note to my nose here. It is not the type of ginger that's super sharp, but it is adding a little bit of like a zing to this one, but I really do like it in here. And again, normally I don't always gravitate towards the ginger, but This is a nice dose of ginger here. In terms of the spice notes, I feel like I mostly smell cinnamon, which is listed separately from the generic spice, I guess you could say. I'm just gonna wrap that cinnamon in with the other spice notes here really quickly. So the spice notes that I smell are predominantly cinnamon. There's a little tiny hint of clove here for me, and there's also a little bit of nutmeg in here as well. I feel like there's more nutmeg than there is clove, but cinnamon is really the star of the show here. It is not red hot cinnamon. It is definitely that gourmand Ceylon cinnamon type note. Very, very bakery cinnamon. Not Fireball, not red hot cinnamon. That's not what this is. The cedar. I do smell a little bit of woodiness in here, and I would say cedar is probably, you could say it's cedar. It's not like super heavy, and it is something that is present, but I don't think takes away from the pumpkin. So there's just kind of a little bit of that like woodiness, that cedar woodiness at the base here. But again, it's not the star of the show. Don't be scared off by that. And the amber. The amber is definitely noticeable in here. It's a little bit more amber than is in the ambered apple and walnut that I shared first. But I would say it's maybe only about 10% of this fragrance. And again, what that amber is doing is it's adding that warmth, that sweet resinous vibe. Really, the only like major sweetness that I think you're actually getting in this fragrance is coming from that amber. And it works really well with that heirloom pumpkin note. So listen, I would say if the woodiness doesn't appeal to you here, if a healthy dose of ginger doesn't appeal to you here, skip this one. But if you're willing to take a chance on a pumpkin scent that is different from your typical like pumpkin cupcake and, you know, like the more like gourmand edible pumpkin scents, this would be the one to take the chance on, I would say. It is really beautiful. It's well done. It's a more sophisticated pumpkin scent. Yeah, it's not gonna make your house smell like a bakery, but it is definitely going to make your house smell like fall. And another really good performer here, you guys. I would say that this one is pretty close to an 8, and it's still like lingering at that 8 in terms of strength. And once again, I'll show you where I'm at. So not quite the halfway point, but definitely getting there. And it's still sticking around right at that 8. The throw, I would say, is somewhere between a 7 and an 8. Certainly, I need to be mindful about what else I'm burning alongside this. The fragrance that I have really liked the best alongside the pumpkin oud is actually the midnight oud, which we're going to be talking about next here. These two are gorgeous together. This was a big surprise for me. I did not initially think that post-burn this would be in the top 3, but I really have kind of fallen for this one, and it's a great pairing for the pumpkin oud. But yeah, strength and throw are really solid on this one, and it's been a great performer. So it's a great scent. Let me know what you think about it. Like I said, it's not your typical edible, sweet, sugary pumpkin scent, but it's nice. It's really nice. It's a fancy lady pumpkin scent, right? Like if you were like a rich fancy lady in a townhouse somewhere in New York City. Yeah, if I were a fancy rich lady that lived in New York City in a townhouse, this is what I would probably have in my entryway. It's delightful. All right, let's discuss the last one for this video, and it is the Midnight Oud. First of all, the owl, gorgeous on this one, but we're not talking about the labels really in this video. We're talking about the fragrance. Let's get into it. Amber, wood, fir needle, patchouli, tonka, and wood. It's just, look how much I have burned this candle, you guys. It is, we're at the halfway point. My most burned for this launch, the first one and this one. I need to work a little bit harder on this one, obviously, but oh my gosh, this is really pretty. I don't think this is one that I would recommend everyone to pop into their cart. I think you're gonna have to like a slightly more perfumey type of fragrance, and I know that's not everybody's favorite category, but I do love this one. The patchouli here, like super sophisticated, very fancy, like elevated patchouli, very perfumey. This is one of those scents, I feel like I've said this a lot about Kringle perfumey scents in general this year. I would wear this if this was available in a perfume format. I would douse myself in this. It would be such a great fall perfume. There is quite a bit of amber in here. It's a lot of that like warm resinous amber that I've already referenced in some of these other fragrances. The wood note here is, it kind of, to my nose, comes across as like a really heavy oak note, but authentic and a little bit masculine. But I would say overall, this fragrance is still kind of coming across as mostly unisex to my nose. The fir needle, there is an interesting fir component here. It's like a freshly cut fir tree. My husband does a lot of wood milling. He bought a wood miser, and so you know, sometimes I'll go out to the farm with him and we'll mill wood together. I think fir is one of my favorite trees when he mills that particular wood because it smells so amazing and so highly fragrant as it's being processed. It is amazing. So he's making me a huge farm table for our backyard. I almost, just based off of smell alone, I almost changed my mind on the like oak wood that he had already milled for me for the table. I almost changed my mind to fir because I just loved the way that the fir smelled as he was milling it. But then I thought about maybe what's a little bit more practical for, you know, an outdoor table, and a like heavier, denser wood like oak just makes a little bit more sense. But I love the smell of fir, and this definitely gives you those fir tree vibes. Really, really good. It's not even specifically like the fir needle. It almost smells like there's some like fir wood in here as well. But you can smell a little bit of that fir needle, but it's more like a freshly cut piece of fir wood. Patchouli, we've already discussed it. It's a really beautiful patchouli, but if you don't like patchouli, whether it's the perfumey patchouli or the like dirty earthy patchouli, there's enough patchouli in here where it's going to annoy you if you don't like that perfumey patchouli note. So skip it if that is you. My apologies, just had to do a quick little battery change here. I think I had just gotten done talking about the patchouli. So lastly, I want to address the tonka in here. If you have had any other Kringle candle fragrances that feature tonka, this is that same tonka note that you've smelled in those other Kringle candle fragrances. So to my nose, it comes across as a like unsweetened, deeper, darker vanilla type note. It definitely adds a lot of depth to the fragrance, and it's just really, really beautiful. I would say this definitely, to my nose, presents as more of a perfumey type of fragrance. Definitely a really great unisex perfumey scent. It's not overly masculine. It's definitely not a feminine fragrance either. It's just really kind of in between there. But it is a lovely fragrance overall, and definitely well deserving of being in the top 3 here. This isn't one that I would, you know, repurchase on any like super regular basis, but it is one of those scents where I can see myself in the future having a moment where I am thinking, that midnight oud, I think I want that again. So it's one of those types of scents, right? Not one that's necessarily hoard worthy, but a really beautiful, unique, interesting fragrance that every once in a while will come across your mind and you'll probably find yourself thinking, I think I should get another one of those. That's what this is to me. In terms of strength and throw, once again, a good solid performer here. The strength has been a solid 7 from the get-go. The throw, I would also give a solid 7 as well. Certainly, you want to be mindful about what you're pairing alongside this one. It is strong enough to spill out of the immediate area where it's burning, and it is going to head to other areas of your house. At least it does for me. I think this is really lovely. Obviously, I've burned it quite a bit. I'm gonna continue to burn it. It is a lovely experience. It's a great pairing for this pumpkin oud, and just, I like it. End of story. So, for what it's worth, those are my thoughts on these first 3 fragrances here. Tomorrow I'm going to film the remaining 3 fragrances early in the morning, and we'll hopefully have those reviews up for you by mid-afternoon at the latest. So obviously, if you are not subscribed, make sure that you subscribe. If you found this video helpful, give it a big old thumbs up. Look in the description box for the launch info. I will write everything out down there as well, so feel free to reference that. Feel free to use my discount code to save yourself a little bit of money. I appreciate you guys being here, and I will see you in the next one. Take care. Toodaloo.